Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. So today, before we get into the session, I'm super excited about the guest I've got with me to get to chat through. It's a very dear friend. I'm just thrilled that we have this time together. Before we do, though, I want to always set the table and say, hey, if you stick with us to the end, I'm going to offer you an access to a resource that we've built that's like nothing else I've ever seen, and probably not like anything you've ever seen either in our Leading at the Next Level program. Now, with that said, Cindy and I have had the opportunity over the last little while to do some interviews on this podcast platform with some great friends, some super partners that are working with us towards the Leadership Legacy experience on June 13th in 2025. Now, depending on where you're accessing this, it may be leading up to the event through a video or through podcast. Maybe it's part of the digital resource after the event. Regardless of where it is, how it is, I couldn't be more excited to have Gil Colman, the founder and principal of Colman Engineering, with me. Gil has become a great friend over the last several years. He's amazing at what he does. He has a tremendous reach and impact in the community and a tremendous reputation. I mean, I've had some different clients that have said, hey, I've gotten word that if we need work done that fits the mold, that gets it done on time, that really meets all the criteria that we need, Gil is our first choice. Colman Engineering is our first choice. Now, no pressure, Gil. But with all that said, how about you start by sharing just a brief overview of your professional background and your specific industry experience? You've got a great amount of experience and you've done some really cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Wes. I really appreciate the opportunity and you know your guidance and mentorship through these years that we've been friends and working together on this. I value very much all the support, and not only support but also training and education that comes from Dove Development is greatly appreciated. So that's been great for my career, for my company as well. And so I've been doing engineering for the past 30 plus years, and in the civil and environmental side of engineering. And I have worked generally in Virginia, Harrisonburg, and the greater area here, general the counties going out. And we've gone as far as Williamsburg, and even in Northern Virginia. We mainly focus on an area here. So again, been doing engineering for all those years that covers, you know, from residential to commercial to industrial and educational. We do the work for JMU and EMU and the universities here. Personally, I've been involved also in our community through the Planning Commission in the city of Harrisonburg. I was a planning commissioner for 8 years, and I held the chair. I was the chair of the Planning Commission for the last year of those 8 years, and contributed to some of the planning for the city. During those years, I also was part of the Board of Zoning Appeals, you know, for the city as well. And I've been involved with the county also. There was an urban development area planning a team or group committee that I was part of it a few years ago when the county decided to develop the area to the east of Harrisonburg and concentrate on that area as the urban development area. And as you know, I also have volunteered on the board with Habitat. Currently, I'm on the board for Harrisonburg Housing and Redevelopment Authority. I'm the chair of that board, and I just recently joined the board of Harrisonburg Electric Commission. And there are other committees and things like that I've been involved through years. But that puts me in touch with the community I serve and makes me get a feel for who I'm working with.
Yeah, Gil, that's really special because one could easily ask, wow, he's got a lot of free time to be able to do this. And I know you better than that. I know that's absolutely not the case, but it's truly through a servant's heart. And it's through the mindset of, I can make a positive impact. And we'll get to later a lot about the values of the organization, the purpose why you do it. Before we do that, I'm going to tee this up. You were an engineer for another firm. Your firm just celebrated its 15th anniversary. And what was your clear purpose for taking on that responsibility of starting a firm as your own, as opposed to just working for somebody else and going through the motions, punching the clock, getting the paycheck? Because, hey, for Cindy and I promise you, we made a lot more money when we had jobs, and we had a lot less risk when we had jobs, and we worked a lot less hours when we had jobs. Today, we work a lot, we don't make as much, but the fulfillment's really there, and we have a clear purpose. What's yours?
Great question. Great question. And I'll start with the beginning of your question, which was, other firms that I was involved in and so on. Yeah, I worked for a firm for many years, and I learned a lot in that firm when it comes down to the engineering side of things. I wasn't satisfied in terms of, how we were delivering for our clients and how our product sometimes wasn't as respected. And there were different reasons for that, but I knew that I wanted to do better. I wanted to do what was right. So my clear purpose was stepping out and doing what was right, what was good, what actually served the client the best. And it was well received by those that review that and those that approve that. So for that, I have built relationships with the reviewers and regulators so that we understand each other, and I can actually do a better job in leveraging that relationship to serve my clients better.
Yeah. Now, with that, and you've done a wonderful job with it, and it really ties back to how many of the different community organizations that you're a part of and being able to serve through that. And it works hand in hand because it gives the organization visibility, but it helps you, I've heard you use the term, kind of guide the thought process and make good long-term sustainable decisions when development happens. So it's pretty cool to watch. And I know it's a heavy load for you, though. So
yeah, and I say more to that also. I think it's important. Sometimes you think, oh, just do something that you're focused on. For me and for us, what I project into our company as well is that we care about what we do. We care about excellence. We care about not just checking the boxes. Oh, we got this done or that done. It's like we want to make sure that what we do impacts our community in a good way. We look beyond just the project at hand, but how does it impact our community? Are we serving our neighbors, our friends, and people that we live amongst, right? Are we serving them well through the process of what we do? We perform a service to our community. How good is our service? How good is this building our community? And hence, like you said, my involvement in other boards and other things is to project some of that as well in terms of we want to be excellent, we want to do right, we want to care for the people we are entrusted with.
Now, as a professional engineer, you're required to get X amount, I think it's 20 hours per year, maybe it's 30, of continuing education credits for your professional credential. And you've got all those other things going on. Why did you take on and really start the process? We've worked together for several years, but it wasn't the first time you were involved in anything around the idea of leadership development and training. What really motivated you to get involved at all with everything that you've got on your plate?
It's always critical. I think it's very important for anybody in any profession really to maintain an attitude, a learning attitude, and not think that we know everything simply because we went to school and we're ready to go. Because that is it would be a huge flaw. So my attitude has always been there's always more to learn. There's always more to follow. And when it comes down to leadership, it's critical also that we get good instruction. Good leaders need good mentors. There's no good leader that will come out without a good mentor. A good mentor will actually be a significant, not only a significant but a pivotal influence on a leader. So having good mentors is important on that. And the education part is critical also because, we learn from others. We learn from others' experience. And when we are open to do that, when we have the attitude and the humbleness to realize, oh, I don't know everything. I just know what I know. And I don't know what I don't know. And it's great to learn from others that have seen other things that we have not run into yet.
Yeah. You've been part of our Executive Leadership Elite think tank for several years now. And now Marie's part of that with us this year as well. And it's so much fun. And Cindy and I just are so humbled and blessed with the group that's there, because everybody in that group I look to and think, my goodness, I get to learn from everybody in this group. And praise God, we get to provide a little bit to folks in that group too. So it's just neat to see the cohesion that's there.
Yeah, what I would say to that also, it's just amazing for the same things you're saying. This group of people coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, and different professions, right? That we are coming together, and what binds us together is that leadership training, that you're providing, and it's amazing to think that the influence that we're getting, is your influence, but also the leaders that you are bringing in, like a Maxwell and others. It's like this is a very powerful platform where we can learn learn from local and worldwide experience per se. So it's a wonderful thing, and the principles are very applicable and very useful and very life-giving. So for us in personally, but also for the organizations we are responsible for.
Yeah, the common thread that we see is all of us in that group, everybody that Cindy and I work with, the common thread is we have people that we're serving that count on us for that leadership. Mm-hmm. So people say my industry's different, and then they tell us the same story. We had these people that were really, really good at what they do, and we promoted them, and now they've got this, and the people part's where they struggle. That's every industry. We all struggle with the people part unless we work hard to get good at the people part.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Gil, you mentioned habitat, and I remember the first time we met was Cindy and I did a board retreat. Gosh, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago now for the habitat. And I believe you were the vice president or vice chair of the board or something like that at the time. Yes. And after that, I begged you to get lunch with me and talked about this event that we had been hosting a couple, 2-3 years at that point called Live to Lead Harrisonburg. And from that point on, you said, yeah, I'll partner with you, and kind of kick the tires. And I feel like we've built a really cool relationship. And now this year you've been willing to partner with us on the Leadership Legacy experience that we're putting together at a whole different scale. Why were you willing to do some of those things?
Yeah, thank you, Wes. All this ties together. There's nothing disjointed about all this conversation we're having in terms of leadership training and growing our companies. What was important to me, and what is important to me in being part of Live to Lead is this community that we're part of, right? That this community of businesses that we're part of it, and coming together to learn, is a wonderful and powerful thing. And what you and Cindy are putting together. Putting these events, it's like we are part of it. We have as being part of this community that you are leading. We are part of it. So I don't feel like do I need to make a choice of this? It's almost like I don't need to make a choice of this. This is what I'm doing. So, and that happens many times with other boards and things that I'm involved with. It's like when whether it's an issue, whether it's an event or something like that, it's like this is who I identify with. So I identify with Dove Development and what your guys are doing, and we Live to Lead. So it's difficult. It's more difficult for me to think about not doing it than doing it. It's like, of course I'm part of this, and I want my company to be impacted by that, but also. Not only for us, but also continue to build those relationships with these other leaders and their companies, And I think it's important in business to be seen with people you are like-minded and they want to have the same thing. So I want to be there where they want to see me and where I want to see them, and that way we encourage each other to continue on in this learning path that we're all in.
Yeah. Hey, we love doing business with the folks that put a priority on leadership and taking care of their people. And that's the fun part. And it's been neat to see the cohesion between the organizations that we get to work with and do that. Now, Gil, I've got a unique opportunity that I know a lot about you and a lot about your organization, but there's times that I run into people and I say, hey, are you familiar with Gil Colman? Are you familiar with Colman Engineering? And they say, no, I'm not. I mean, I think maybe I've seen the sign on South High Street and so on. And I go on to tell the story. What would you like to share about your company and what you do that probably the community just doesn't know? It's the sign along the road and they just don't understand the impact you really make.
Yeah, thank you. I think part of that is because we've been so busy just by word of mouth. We are so busy with the clients that we have, and it expands with people that know the people that know us, and that's the way it goes. But something for people to know that is important is that we care about our community and we care about what we do. The service that we provide and the clients that we take in, they're like family. Their project is our project. It's us. It's ours to bring it to fruition, and bring their dreams, into reality. That is something that we do. In terms of people recognizing and seeing us, like you said, Marie started working with me, full time, well, part time, but full time in terms of she's not working somewhere else now, doing all the marketing, preparing all the marketing materials, and a lot of the internal stuff as well. And we have right now a strategy to go on WMRA and other radio stations, and we sponsor many many things, including Red Wing and Habitat and other local nonprofits. We sponsor a lot of their banquets and things like that. So we are involved in things that we certainly care, but also our website has been updated also just to be current in terms of, those are the things that people might need to know. I can go to a website and learn some more of what we do.
Yeah, and the reality is, if we don't have that presence, we may do great work, but if people don't know about us, and I keep poking at you guys about how I want to tell your story more, because I just love it. I love the impact that you make, and I get excited about seeing what you do and the way you take care of your team and all the different things, and thinking, hey, how do we tell everybody in the world about this? Because if they've got an engineering background, they should work with you. And if they need engineering service, they should work with you. And I know you don't have the capacity to work with everybody, but it's still fun to tell a cool story, right?
Yeah, thank you.
You've alluded to it a couple times. You as an organization, and you and Nell Marie personally, and I want to make sure I don't lose sight of talking about the value that Nell Marie brings now that she's joined the team. But before we do that, talk about some of the successful projects or campaigns that as an organization you guys have been really deeply involved in, and how you've been able to make a positive impact on the community through those.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there are perhaps many stories because of all the projects. Like I said, we become so involved with those projects that become ours. I would say that something that is community oriented and has impacted our community locally is one of the projects that we worked with Habitat and a local developer that they wanted to provide affordable housing in the area. So we looked at a property that it needed a lot of help and a lot of engineering work for it, to be able to get it somewhere. And we have worked through the process of developing, going through a rezoning process, going through all the entitlement process that is required to be able to adjust the lot size to provide a higher density, so you can have more units and so on, and then all the engineering part of it, where 20 homes are being built, and some of them already built and already occupied in Sutter Street in an area of the city here where that is, it's been developed as affordable housing. And affordable housing these days is difficult to see or say what is affordable, but anytime you have Habitat in it, it's going to be affordable because it's a different program, and it's a non-for-profit. So it's really people that buy Habitat homes, they pay no interest on the loans, and those loans are capped, and the sale of the house is capped at a very low number as well. And that's been a great project to be part of it, and for us to say, hey, we're happy that we're actually serving our community in a way that is so tangible, especially in today's environment where housing is such a humongous need. So we're happy to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, Gil, Cindy and I see that today. We've lived where we do for 25 years, and we don't have much mortgage left, and it's low, and so on. And I look at some of the stuff, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how do people survive just rent, let alone buy a house? And she's not always been thankful. I think she is now, but she's not always been thankful that I'm like, I don't want to move. I want to stay in the little house that we built before we got married and so on. But yeah, that's what an impact you make through that. And without the work that you guys do at Colman Engineering to really start the process, the reality is it would have been tough if it happened at all to make sure that those 20 homes happened, right? Because you set the foundation for that.
Yes, I would say that it's always, as I mentioned before, the relationship with the regulators and the people that have decision making is important to be able to negotiate. Really, we're negotiating outcomes. What are we trying to achieve here, and is this important to them as well? So part of my job is also to persuade them that this is important to them as a community leaders or local officials.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask the next question, and it really will build to what I wanted to ask about Nell Marie. So typically in this process, I ask a set of questions for the folks that we're interviewing, our partners and so on. And the next one says, can you tell me about the purpose of your organization and how it aligns with your own values and purpose? But the difference here is you started the company 15 years ago, so it's one and the same. What I'm going to challenge you to do is, how have you taken your own values and purpose and really embedded it in what you do as an organization every single day?
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting because as we have been working on that in the past year, in the past few months, it's really kind of looking back and all, the past 15 years. We're coming to, this is our 15 years in business, and looking, what has driven us through that, and we have different taglines and things like that, which were still true to us. So we basically right now are working through our values and making sure that okay, are these values not only just putting values there, these are the things we're going to do, is this what we do, is this who we are? So our values are not here's goals for us, things to do. No, this is who we are. It's more identifying ourselves and realizing, looking in a mirror per se and say, yes, this is it, this is who we are. And so we are reframing our tagline or purpose, a goal, to say engineering for a better world. That looks at the whole picture, which is one of our values, is looking at the big picture. How do we fit in this community, in this world, that has been given to us to usher or to protect and to be good stewards of. So as engineers, we impact the land, we impact the world. How can we not only be ourselves good stewards, but work with the people we work with to be good stewards of that? And for that, we, with Marie's help and her work, we have been working through our values. Like I said before, caring is the base of everything we do. But then from that, we define our values, like communication, making sure we have a good lines of communication, internally, but also with our clients and regulators and whoever we're working with, so that we are not wasting time on things that are not necessary. Treating each other with respect. We want to make sure that we are respecting each other, respecting the people we work with. And as we know, when we work in a world of a lot of regulations and all that, sometimes we want to pull our hairs and be very disrespectful, perhaps, but we make sure that we are respectful, that we recognize the role of other people. And I can go on some of these things, but I want to get back to you.
Well, I'm gonna ask a couple questions around that, because I know the answers, so I'm gonna make you say the answers, or at least hope you do. You've taken time, you and Nell Marie have built time into your weekly staff meetings to talk about how you're exemplifying the values, how you're building it into what you do, and how you make sure your clients feel those values. You're even looking at what are the values of your clients and how can you connect with and serve those values too. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. We are one of the things that we try to look at, and this is something, in some ways new, in some ways not, but making sure that we try to align with our clients' values, and if it's somebody we really can't align with, we might not want to do work for them. And it's been the case in some instances where we decided, no, I don't think this is who we are or who we want to work for or with. But what we do, and we have weekly meetings, Monday morning meetings, team meetings, where we go over all our projects, and we have been discussing our values and how they apply to the phases of the project, so to the projects themselves, but also to each phase of the project. How is this manifested here? How is this? Because I think it's not just the fact of trying to make something up, but it's like can we actually, like I said before, look in the mirror and see how, here we're applying this principle or this, or this value here and there, and that actually motivates us, that when we're working, we're actually thinking, am I doing this? Am I doing that? So it is a way to motivate us as well, so that we can be conscious of that, or be thinking of that as we're working through things. Like everywhere else, once you get in the routine of things, you get bogged down by things, and having something to look up and say, I remember. Yeah, we need to. This is why we do this. Then that gives you a lift and makes you feel like you're actually making a difference, even though right now we're just running these numbers here that need to come up with some number that makes sense. But that is what we are doing. That's what we're doing. And as a matter of fact, right now we're looking at come back every week as we meet and tell me how you identify that in some of the projects you are working on. So it's not just us, me, the leadership saying that. This is coming from our employees as they are identifying these things themselves.
So, Gil, I say a lot that while money is a factor in somebody's overall career and what they need, it's not the factor. It's just a piece of what they need. It's the fulfillment, it's the culture, it's the atmosphere, and it's so many of those things that you work to provide. You work hard for fair and great, solid compensation for your team. But just as importantly, I hear you asking, hey, what gave you fulfillment out of what you did last week? What sucked the energy out of you? And talk about that a little bit and how your teams embrace that.
Yeah, that has been good. Also, we asked that question, which also, like I said, during our meetings, we spent quite some time on each person. We have a small team, but also on each person, reporting, how typically is the weekend. How was the weekend? What was fun? What energized you, or what reinvigorates you, and so that I want to be aware of that and make sure that we provide for that. Make sure that people have a time for themselves, for their families, and whatever is a recharge for them to be able to come back to work and feel motivated to work, but hopefully also find the recharge in what you do here, right? And I think part of it is the interaction, just to be able to speak freely and feel like we value you as a full person.
Yeah. And that's very natural for you, right? Me and you both were really touchy-feely. We don't really focus on the results so much. It's just, let's just talk and hug in the circle. And so, no.
I think personally that has been the biggest challenge. I'm definitely going very well in that direction, and I, if you ask me, I'm doing great. But it's been a challenge because, as you said, Wes, I'm also very results focused, and getting done what we need to get done. It's like, I don't care anything else, just get this thing done. It's like, this is what I'm paying you for. That would have been my attitude many years ago, and that's what I'm saying. That's what leadership and learning helps us, because there's so much stuff, especially for people like us that are very technical and very focused on things. We need training in human relationships, and make sure that we are caring for people beyond just the results, but also as a whole person. So I certainly, thanks to you, Wes, I have evolved in a great way on that, and that helps me throughout, not just here, but also in everything that I'm involved with. I care beyond, and I do. I care beyond just the result. I want results, but I do care beyond the result.
Yeah, and hey, you work to get those results because you want to help take care of people. But sometimes,
Exactly.
for me and you both, we've got to remember to tell those people that's why we're doing it.
That's right. They still need to work. Yeah.
It really brings me up, and Cindy and I have just cherished the friendship that we've built with you and Nell Marie. And you and I both, we married way up, right? Our wives
That's right.
stature, but hey, they've got a big presence, and they're amazing people. Now, you mentioned Nell Marie joined the firm in a part-time capacity, but the reality is when you're in business for yourselves, there's no such thing as part-time. It's all in all the time.
Yes.
She had an amazing corporate background. I mean, she did some just outstanding stuff. I'm thrilled that she's willing to be part of one of the panels at the event coming up and so on. Talk about some of the specific things that she's added value to, specifically around the purpose and values of the organization, and helped move the needle over just the last 6-8 months that she's been part of the team.
Yeah, thank you. She is amazing, and the truth is she's been involved obviously with the company since the beginning. She's always been behind the scenes to some extent, and for the past year she's been working again part-time, full-time, part-time in the sense of part-time here at the office, but she's typically doing something working at home anyways, as much as I try to keep her from doing that, but she's still doing that. She worked for some large companies, that impacted throughout the country, really impacted every other companies. The company she was working for impacted many companies across large organizations across the United States. So she got a great experience doing that. She did that for I forget, 15, 20 years or something like that. And I don't remember the numbers specifically right now, but she's excellent at communication. She's her last job was a director of content for one of the companies. And so for us, she's been working, and like I said, to make sure that our values are laid out, and that we, same thing that I was talking earlier, she's been very good, instrumental in putting all that package together and walking us through it, walking us through the process of implementing our values in a way that again, that visualizes what we do and what we're doing, and reflecting all that throughout our organization, not just on our meetings, but also on our website, on the products that we produce. That everything there is consistency throughout. So she's still working through that, but that's been her contribution in terms of the direct impact right now for the company. Is that there are many other things that she's doing as well, and I keep her busy, and she doesn't have enough time to do all the things she wants to do. But she's been working solidly, like for example on the website. But the website, like I said, it spreads into everything else in terms of the maintaining that consistency.
Yeah, the website is amazing as it is. It's just a reflection of what I see you're bringing to the table. And it's not that you weren't doing it, you were, but she's a different voice and she adds it from a different perspective. I tell people all the time, if I were in business by myself, I would get a tremendous amount of stuff done. But since Cindy's involved with me, there's a chance that somebody will actually like the tremendous amount of stuff I get.
That's right. That's right.
So voices are important.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So Gil, I've watched over the last several years, you guys do some amazing work with interns. And this question really taps into that. If you were to give advice to a young or aspiring professional and they're looking to advance their career, more specifically into a space where they've got leadership responsibility, and I don't mean a title that says they've got authority, but where they really have true influence on people, what advice would you give to them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. When I work, I get interns, and sometimes I get students that come here for advice on what they should do or shouldn't do, and I try to steer them in the direction of their, what is in their skills, but also in their interests themselves. You can try to go in a field that you have nothing, no interest in. It's just gonna fail. So one of the key things is make sure that you are in a field or going into a field that you have a heart for, that you care for. Otherwise, it's not gonna go anywhere. But critically, when it comes down to leadership, is make sure that you look for good mentorship. A good leader, a good mentor will produce a good leader. And look for opportunities for training. In our context here, I always tell the interns as they are working here, as they are learning things, that we train them in what we do, also to keep their ears open, to how we are interacting and what conversations we have between ourselves and also with clients and things like that, because they learn a lot through that. And they don't always have the opportunity. We have a small team and a small, workspace per se that allows them to do that. And I give them permission to do that, as well as asking questions and learning from us as we go through the process. And that's something that not everybody has the opportunity to do. But aside from that, looking for good, making sure that you maintain an attitude of learning, that you don't just stay stuck on, oh, this is what I learned in school. No, you need to continue learning to be able to lead and help others.
Yeah, Gil, it absolutely amazes me with the level of value you add to the interns and to anybody really you interact with. It's wild. I remember when I was during my corporate career, we often dealt with interns, and in most cases it would be folks that would come in and it was, here, you sit at this desk for the next 3 months, and this is the paper that you're going to file in this folder in this filing cabinet. And it was, I'm not going to say they didn't learn stuff, but it was more of a check the box exercise, because the reality is it takes time from the business to really sew in and to even get the intern spun up to file papers. You sow so much in. When an intern leaves your organization after their time is done, they're truly ready to do the job. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see what they see. And it just, what stuns me is not enough people know about it, because I would think with what you do and the value you add, you would not only have a list of, here's the every engineering student in the country wants to be an intern for you, and then the rest would say, hey, I want to work for you long term because this is a cool atmosphere. So there's a little plug, but
thank you.
It's a true one, because I get to see.
And it is a sacrifice for us in terms of time, and in terms of, we sacrifice our billable time to train our interns, and we do train them properly. We actually, like you said, we train them to do the work we do. Typically, the way it works for us, and we have interns from all the universities around here. The main one is JMU, because it's right here. We get the most interns, but we have interns from Virginia Tech, from UVA, from Bridgewater College, EMU, and certainly JMU. We certainly put a lot of time into training them. They typically when they are with us about 2 semesters, where they come in at least 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours a week to learn, then by the summer we hire them, as draftmen or something like that. They have learned the things we need to do, and then we put them to work. So they actually, it works out, and they're productive, not just hired to be sitting there. No, we put them to work, and because they have learned the things that we needed to do.
Well, and it's not just that. I mean, this kind of is an in-depth conversation around what advice would you give to an aspiring young professional, but it's not just advice. It's what I watch you do. And it's not just on the X's and O's of civil engineering. I mean, there's been a number of different things that you've brought interns and new team members into from a leadership scope, talking about the values, talking about communication styles, talking about leadership with us. And it's just, I don't see interns especially, but not many young folks get those opportunities. So when you're saying, here's the advice I give, it's not just advice, it's what I watched.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Gil, as we wrap this up, what would you, any parting thoughts, any ideas you'd like to share that we haven't touched on?
I think what I would say is that at least for people watching this, I encourage you to get involved in leadership training, and for that certainly I would point to DAV development to Wes. Our relationship spans a few years now, and Wes has been not only a provider of that, but also a mentor and a coach. In the last couple of years, we're doing the coaching program, which has been very helpful for busy people like me. Having somebody like Wes kind of prompting me on a regular basis to make sure that I'm keeping up with things. I know it's easy to get lost in all the busyness, but we need to step back sometimes, or at least take a little bit of time to refocus ourselves and make sure we are oriented in the right direction before we derail ourselves because of busyness. So I would encourage anybody that sees this to contact Wes and learn about what Wes is doing, and certainly Live to Lead and the new event, Living with a Clear, I forget the name of it was right now, coming up in June, definitely join us for that. I think it's going to be a great event, and with great leadership training, great leaders speaking, and where there's a great opportunity to network with other companies and be with other people that are going into the same through the same issues, the same thing as leaders.
Well, thank you for all that. I'm always thrilled. I remember borderline stalking you to develop the friendship, and I've just loved how it's continued to grow in the relationship we've got. So it's 100% mutual, my friend. As we wrap this up, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out. What I would encourage you to do is seek out folks like Gil. If you're in the civil engineering space or you've got a need in that space, I can't say there's a better one in the world. I don't know of a better one. Maybe there are, but I don't believe so. If you need continuing education credits, or you'd like to go deeper into anything we shared, or just that whole idea of how do I get tangible results from those things deemed as soft skills, shoot me an email at admin@dove-development.net, and I'll hook you up with a 45-day all-access trial to our complete Leading at the Next Level program. As it stands, we've got more than 150, 160 hours of digital resources in that program, and we do live lessons every month that we close with Q&A. We never record the Q&A, so it's something special if you join us live. So anyway, hope this serves you well. Look forward to seeing you soon. Gil, thanks again for taking the time for this. Gosh, we love you guys. We really appreciate the friendship, and look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Make it a great day.
Good. Thank you, Wes. Yeah.